Good morning and welcome to Enhance's webinar on Wave Release 2 for Microsoft Dynamics 365 CRM. So that's all new functionalities planned to be delivered to market from October 2024 through to March 2025. My name is Naresh Raj. I'm Client Development Manager at Enhance and I will be acting as the moderator for today's session. But I'd also like to introduce you to Rachel Vincent, one of our Dynamics 365 consultants, and also James Glover as well, our CTO. So they'll be leading the webinar and covering things in more detail, specifically new and enhanced features across the sales and customer service modules within 365. This includes things like natural language copilot and also enhanced and unified routing of cases amongst a load of other things as well. So before I hand over to Rachel, I'd like to outline a few simple housekeeping items. So we expect the webinar to last approximately 40 to 50 minutes. It might be a little bit more. It really depends on number of questions we get. Please note that the webinar will be recorded and will be available to view on demand. All participants are set to listen only and will remain so for the duration of the webinar. If you have a question, do click the chat functionality and type your question in there, and do feel free to submit those questions at any point during the webinar. Okay, so with that, I'll hand you over to our presenter, who's Rachel.
Hi there, hopefully everyone can hear me. I've just noticed a bit of a glitch from my first slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by going in and talking about the expected releases for Dynamics sales to begin with. And I don't know why, I've lost my little heading page of the different elements that I'm going to cover, so I'm just going to go straight into it. And one of the first things that we've got coming through, everything in this release is sort of around Copilot, and it's Microsoft's natural language AI tool, and it is huge for Microsoft at the moment. They're really focusing on pushing it within all of their sort of package of software and applications, and Dynamics is no stranger to that. So one of the things that we have got coming through, it was mentioned last year as well, in the last Wave 1 release, was having the a change for, if I just show you, Copilot to summarise what's going on in your organisations. So if I just bring up Dynamics right now, you can see on the side of Dynamics we have this Copilot button now on the right hand side, and if you're on an account record, Copilot will do you a quick summary of what's happening within that record. So to save you time as a user without having to flick through all the tabs and open sort of related entities, Copilot is going in and giving you a summary of what's been happening recently with this account or organisation. And it will also give you the ability to drill into specific elements specifically. So you can look at the specific opportunities, you can ask for it to summarise elements just about that opportunity. So it's always helping you to get summarised information without you having to go and look for it. So within the one page, you've got a lot of information already available to you. So it's just giving you a summary of the opportunity, what's going on with it, and so on and so forth. And it gives you extra pointers of what you might want to ask. So it says one of the options is what's changed with the opportunity. So it's all about enabling you to get a really quick overview of what's happening on an organisation record and how to move that forward in terms of what are the next steps. So account summary, this was mentioned in the Wave 1 release, so I'm just doing a quick touch on it. It was delayed, so it's now coming out in Wave 2, but it's got a lot more functionality than it was originally planned. Going on from that, it's also now bringing in document and email summaries. So where you have a record, whether it's a contact, opportunity, lead or account that has got lots of information against it and has documents attached to it, Copilot can now go in and look at those different documents that are against that record and be able to provide you with a summary again of what's going on in that. And the same again with long emails. So if you've got a lengthy email that is against an account or a contact record, It may be that it's like a string of emails, 10 emails long, and you're coming to it fresh. Rather than having to scroll down, read it all the way through, you can ask Copilot to summarise what's going on in that email. So it's all about facilitating and enabling and speeding up the process for you, so you're not having to shuffle through lots of information to try and find the key points for you. So there's a huge emphasis on saving you time, summarising information, enabling you to get key points ready and at the forefront of your mind when you're going into conversations with potential clients and customers and supporters. So it's really really sort of focus using that natural language AI capability to really support you in your work and support you in building those relationships. So that's one of the elements that we've got going on in terms of the summarising functionality that's coming through. Oh, it's just gone very weird. There we go. Don't know what's happened there. I'm really sorry. So the next thing that's coming up, and this was mentioned in Wave 1, it's actually now delayed until early 2025, but they've done a lot of changes to it since the Wave 1 mention. So I'm just going to touch on it. And this is the Copilot immersive homepage. When this comes, it could be really quite exciting, and it may actually challenge the need for sort of homepage dashboards in the future. The whole point of this within Dynamics is the Copilot homepage gives you a summary of where you are in terms of your work. If you are in a team that does philanthropy or in sales, it gives you a summary of where targets versus actuals. So you've got that little grid that you can see, this little pan, but mostly it's there to show you key information that's happened recently. It gives you suggested activities of what you might want to do next. So it's not just saying, oh, you've got a task to do this today. It's also suggesting, looking at all the information on the records that you are owner of and involved in, and saying, oh, you might want to put in a meeting with this person because it's been 2 weeks since you last spoke to them, and you know, it's gone very quiet. We haven't had an email. So it's really taking that information. Again, Copilot being absolutely amazing as usual in supporting you in doing your job and focusing your attention on particular areas of work that may need actual focus to help you to move forward. It's very, this is Dynamics for Sales, so it's all about sort of maximising those opportunities, identifying opportunities and supporting you in doing that work and guiding you through your day. So again, really, really nice functionality. I look forward to seeing it when it comes through, and hopefully it will be really useful to various people who work in that sort of arena. The following on from that and sort of touching on that is the whole action suggestion. So they're having it on the homepage that they're developing, but it's also being added across various different features. So for example, where you have an email, this image is very blurry because that's all we're given by Microsoft, I have to say, but this is where you have a Copilot on the side of an email. They've blocked out what the email actually said, but it gives you a summary of the email, but it also offers suggestions on how you should follow up from that. So it may be saying, we suggest that you set up a meeting, we can help you set up a meeting. It could be recommendations at the end of a meeting that you've had in Teams, for example. So it's sort of pulling on, listening to what you are doing in your interactions with individuals, with clients or customers, and saying, okay, so from what we've ingested, whether we've read that in that email or we've listened to that on the Teams call, here are some things that we think you want to do next. And it's prompting those actions, and it's encouraging you to sort of go, okay, yeah, I can sort that out straight away. It helps you plan your day and what you're supposed to be doing with that ongoing engagement that you may have with that client or customer. And it's helping you to stay on top of those conversations, hopefully making you be a bit more sort of efficient in moving things forward, because we've all been there. You have a meeting or you send an email and then you move on to the next thing, and you may sort of just forget to do some follow-up actions, or it may be that there's a big delay in you actually doing the follow-up. So Copilot is really supporting you in getting those moving forward and reminding you to do those elements. So the next thing, and this is one I'm a little bit more tentative about, is that Copilot will also help you write emails that it thinks that you want to send. So if it says, oh, we think you need to do a follow-up email, or whether that's after a meeting or in a chain of emails, you can ask Copilot to help write it. And you can sort of set the tone. So you can say to Copilot, this is what I want to say in this email. I want the length to be medium length, and I want it to be a friendly tone or a formal tone. So you basically set it. Copilot will write it for you, and then you have the ability, it's not that it writes it and sends it, you have the ability to go, oh, okay, now I'm going to tweak that and rephrase that a little bit, so you can then edit it before you send it. I think this is interesting if you are in the sales world. I think if you are in the not-for-profit sector, which is where my origins are, I'm a little bit more tentative, because I don't think that the terminology and the phraseology from Microsoft in Copilot is quite there yet. But it's a system that will learn, and it will grow and it evolve. So it might not be something that is adopted really early by our not-for-profit clients, but it's there and it's coming. So I just wanted to touch on it. And then the sort of final element in dynamic sales element is manager dashboards for coaching sellers, is how they phrase it. But basically, it's where you are head of a team that is doing sales or opportunities. So maybe you're head of philanthropy in the charity sector. It's about being able to understand what's going on in those meetings that your staff are having with potential income generation meetings with major donors or whoever it may be, or a sales company. It's analysing those conversations that happen in teams. How long are they going on for? How long are you speaking for? What are the key words that are getting mentioned? And so it puts all this information intelligence into a dashboard, which managers can then monitor. They can monitor those against the success of the opportunities that they relate to. So it's really quite advanced sort of analysis of how these conversations are going, and it's there to sort of help improve performance. It's for managers to understand what's going well, what's not going so well, not just on how the member of staff is performing, but also in terms of what are we pushing and is that landing okay? Are people interested in that? So it's about helping to sort of tailor and improve how you can improve your asks. The next area that I'm going to look at is Microsoft Copilot for Sales. So it's all kind of within that sales world, but this is sort of not directly within Dynamics itself, but joined to it, and therefore influencing Dynamics in terms of what you can do with Dynamics for Sales. So I'm just going to cover off the key elements. So we're going to be looking at a lot around, after a meeting that you've had within Teams, what Copilot will then support you with doing in terms of updating CRM and creating follow-up activities. So there's a nice new functionality for those of you who like using OneNote, which I'm a big fan of, in terms of being able to push data from OneNote into the CRM, and also supporting you in managing sort of customer objections or complaints whilst in a call. So I'm afraid to say this is where Microsoft have not launched or provided us with many images or things that we can look at. So it looks a bit boring because I haven't got pictures, and I apologise for that, but hopefully we'll say enough anyway. So Copilot is in Teams, and it's listening to those, it's using the transcribing element of your meetings, and it's listening to understand what's going on from those meetings. So one of the things that is being brought in Wave 2 is that it's going to be looking within your meetings in Teams for things that you might need to change in CRM. So it's basically, first of all, that meeting summary that it creates can be saved directly into Dynamics for you. It can connect this meeting within Teams into that meeting in CRM. And it also may suggest that you might want to create a new record in CRM or update a record. So if something during the conversation has been something along the lines, oh, we've actually moved, we've got a new address, Copilot will be listening for that and making suggestions to say, you might want to update the record in Dynamics. Here's a link to get there and you can change the address. So it's really sort of helping you to act quickly on what's going on in your meetings, saving you time, but also helping you to make sure that your data is correct and up to date, which we all know is really important for GDPR, but just generally looking after our sort of clients and supporters better. In addition to that, with that whole sort of action suggestions, it can help you to create follow-up emails. So at the end of a meeting where you may have agreed to do certain actions, it will say, do you want to create a thank you and next steps email to summarise what we've just discussed? This is what we're going to be doing. So it will helpfully, proactively nudge you into doing that and create some meeting summary and action items into that email ahead of you being able to tailor it and send it. It will create summaries and enable you to also create opportunities off the back of the meeting. So it might say, oh, we've identified that there's a potential new opportunity from this meeting. It will generate that record for you. You won't save it until you've checked it through, but it will say, oh, this is the opportunity information we think you've got. It will give it a name, link it to the right contacts and the right organisations. So really sort of pull in the information that it's identifying from that meeting, then obviously allows you to edit it before you save it. So it's taking those steps away from you having to then move to Dynamics, set all this up, locate this information, create it. It's doing quite a few steps for you. So it's all about saving you time and being more efficient and ensuring that actions do happen as quickly as possible in moving forward into the next steps. So it's really important and helpful information that it's trying to do. It's trying to bring all these Microsoft systems together to flow seamlessly between one another. So it's really interesting and quite exciting, a little bit daunting maybe for some people, but I think it's all going to sort of offer you a more streamlined and intuitive and informative way of working. And also, you know, it might be that if someone's leaving the organisation, it's ensuring that as they're doing their final meetings or handovers, that information is still being captured and they're being prompted to put it in to Dynamics for the next person to come along. So really exciting stuff. This is the one that I like the best in many ways because I am a huge OneNote user. I know it's got a bit of a bad reputation sometimes, but whenever I'm in meetings, I'm typing into OneNote and I type a lot. This was originally going to be in Wave 1, but it's only actually now becoming available in Wave 2, so it got a bit delayed. But when I'm writing lots in OneNote, it's a lot of information I put in. Copilot is now in there to offer a summary, so it can summarise it down, which if anyone's seen my OneNote, which I know a few people at Enhance have, it's very lengthy. So it enables you to summarise, create a to-do list or rewrite the notes completely, but it also then has the power to push that into Dynamics, into the CRM record. So if it's meeting notes that I've created whilst in OneNote on a Teams call, I can then use that Copilot to push my summarised, hopefully, notes into Dynamics against the right records, so that information is there and it's available for anyone in the future. So for me, this is quite exciting because I have spent many hours trailing through my OneNote and trying to summarise it and then copy and paste that across into records on Dynamics. So I know that this will really speed up that process, and it will mean that again, it's taking out steps, it's saving me time, and it's ensuring that those notes are available for everyone. The next element for this one is about managing customer objections. So this is all within Copilot for Sales. Again, it's using that Teams functionality of monitoring Copilot, being in on Teams, listening to what the conversation is going to, like. It's identifying where the person that you're talking to might be throwing up objections or complaining or saying, I'm not very keen about how you do this, or whatever it may be. And it's tracking that and identifying that. It's then live making suggestions to you as the person on the call about how you might want to handle these, and pulling in information from your knowledge base, if you've got knowledge base set up in Dynamics, which can respond to these kind of comments. It's also taking that sentiment analysis and using that, as we've seen in terms of that manager dashboard for tracking the way conversations are going. It's taking that and it's using that information to help guide how you can change how you approach these conversations, how you approach these issues. It's flagging that these are issues that are being raised to the organisation and to yourself. So that it really helps you to gain that ability to understand where people are having objections about what the work you may be doing or what you may be promoting, and really sort of help you to deal with that in the moment, in the instant. There's not the element of going, oh right, I hear what you're saying there, let me go away and find some answers for you and come back to you, rather than having to do that and therefore have another conversation later on. It's equipping you with the ability to respond immediately to those concerns and feeding that into the organisation to improve how in the future those conversations can happen, but also if this is a big issue that's happening lots of the time, then how we can move forward and address that in a more sort of organisational manner. So it's Copilot is listening, but it's not just listening, it's also helping to support you in doing a better, building better relationships. There's some other elements that won't be coming out until early 2025, which I just thought were worth touching upon for this, and that's leading on from what I've just been talking about with improving that customer understanding with that coaching. So it's that building on from that ability to listen, to analyse what's being said, what's working, what's not working, and that Copilot identifying that as opportunities to improve how we can work. Where are we not nailing things as well as we could? So it's really offering that sort of feedback to staff as well as to the managers about where improvements might be able to make, where you may be missing particular elements, where you can sort of improve the speed of which you can move an opportunity along. So it's all about sort of that ongoing self-improvement as well as organisational improvement, but always, I would say, with the ability, the whole end goal is to improve the customer experience or the client experience in those conversations. So that's where the positive element. Another one that is quite a favourite of mine is bringing Copilot for Sales into the Outlook mobile app. So at the moment, if you're on your laptop or your computer, you've got that ability within Outlook to support you with email summaries and tracking into Dynamics and CRMs. At the moment, you can't do that on the mobile app, but come the beginning of next year, that will be added into the mobile app. So again, saving you time when you're out and about rather than sat at your desk to do those functionalities. So that's the end of the sales sort of side of things. Do we have any questions at this point on the sales elements? And it's fine if you don't.
I think we're okay, Rachel. I've just looked in the chat and we're good. So I think you're okay to carry on to the next point.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so the next element is the Dynamics customer service core elements that are being developed in Wave 2. So just as a sort of disclaimer, a lot of the focus of Wave 2 has been on contact centre and field service. So it's not as big a section as we've had for sales on just the customer service core elements. And there are actually no releases for Microsoft Copilot for Service for the UK and Irish markets in Wave 2. There's only one, and that's for America only. So it is more shrunk down because their main emphasis is on developing their contact centre and field service. So in terms of standard customer service improvements that we're seeing in Wave 2, we've got the ability to more efficiently manage cases and view of active cases on the system. We also have support in composing emails, with better improved user experience on those elements. We have, my favourite, number 3, is extending Copilot's reach through plugins into external systems, which I'll touch on in a little bit. And also sort of that proactive prompting and offering insights by Copilot when you are handling a customer's record, as well as some tweaks to updating queues if you use those for managing inquiries coming in. So the first one is around a better experience managing cases. So whilst creating a case, it enables you to take notes more effectively, and there's much better attachment handling. So viewing and uploading and accessing attachments against a case is a much simpler sort of process and visuality for that to really sort of speed up your ability to manage that and to get up to speed on the actual case itself. One of the points there we have, which is identifying case fields with colour-coded icons. So this is something that I will do an actual demo in a moment of what the system looks like. So it's all about streamlining this process and making things more intuitive. So if I go into the colours, I'm actually going to bring up Dynamics and share my active cases screen. So this is what's coming. It was planned for Wave 1, but they've added additional features and they've made some improvements to the grid. And what you can see is we've got this whole colour coding element that we have going on here. So we have colour coding for the type of the case. We have colour coding for priority, which is your standard traffic lights, which is really quick and easy to immediately look at this list and go, my high priority case is this one down here, which is an incorrect direct debit amount taken. So that's my high priority. It's really quick. The origin is also colour coded, and in terms of the owner, we now can see a little picture of James, for example, who has been managing this case. So it's a really quick visual view of what's going on in your organisation. We have status as well, so I can see that whilst most of them are in progress, I've got some here that we're waiting for details from the customer. So I'm not as worried about those because I know those are being held up by the customer themselves. So it provides you with a much more visually accessible view of things. You don't have the same need to filter down because you can just see it by looking at the colours on the screen. So it really enables you to do quick, clear understanding in a snapshot view in your mind, helps you to manage your case workload and make sure you're prioritising your work, and you can navigate more quickly through that list. So that's a really nice little change that they've brought along with it. So I do quite like that. Again, composing emails with enhanced recipient handling. So basically this is looking at email creation within Dynamics rather than when you're creating them in Outlook. So if you're creating your emails within Dynamics, they've added some new little bits of functionality just to make your life easier. There's more dragging and dropping, so you can drag and drop the contacts into the to, from, CC, BCC, and the same drag and drop functionality with attachments, so you can add your attachments just by dragging and dropping. Things that you can do, that drag and dropping with attachments, is what you can do in Outlook. You can now do it when you're composing emails within Dynamics. So it's just making that user experience a little bit better. If you are someone that's working with people that are representing a company or an organisation, if that organisation happens to also use Microsoft, when you are seeing them in the to line, so we can see in the example here in to, you can see around John Doe's contact link, it's actually purple and it's got the standard Microsoft out of office message there, and you can see at the top saying, John Doe, I'm out of office. So in the same way as if you were emailing someone within Outlook who happened to be in the organisation, or someone externally where they're on Microsoft Suite as well, you can start to see that information, and that's now visible in Dynamics. So it's a better experience for you, and it means that you may not feel like you have to go into Outlook to send all your emails and then go back into Dynamics. It's about making it so you don't have to move between different areas. This one's my favourite of the customer service elements, and that is enabling Copilot plugins to connect with the other databases and the external systems. What does that mean? So it means that you may have a situation where you may have multiple CRM systems in your organisation, or you may have a separate system for your contact centre. And what this enables Dynamics to do is, using Copilot, you can plug Copilot into those other CRMs, other systems, so that when you are dealing with a record or on a record in Dynamics, Copilot will look at those other systems for pertinent information relevant to what you are working on in Dynamics, so that you don't have to be clicking through across different systems, different tabs on your browser to get that information. Copilot is getting it for you and presenting it to you within Dynamics. So that's really, really exciting for me, because I've been the person who's had to look across different systems to get the full picture. Copilot is going to do that for you and offer you that information so that you can work much more speedily and you can provide a better service to that individual who you may be dealing with or talking to at that time, because you're not slowing down the progress of the conversation by looking all over the place. So it really does support you in getting that whole holistic view that really we've always said Dynamics is about, giving you that 360-degree view. Now it's even better because Copilot is able to support you in that and gather the right information. And then again, we have this use of proactive prompts and insights. So Copilot is looking, it knows you're on the customer service license, it knows you're looking at a record, and it's going to make suggestions to you of things that you might want to know in the context of what you're looking at. So, for example, if you are in a conversation with an individual, Copilot will say, this person's actually got an order that's in progress. For example, that's the example they've given on the screen. It's going, they've actually got something that's in progress. It's been marked as an idea, so it might be that you want to just tell them and give them an update on how that's going. So it's looking for relevant current information that might be valuable to the interaction that you're having with that customer. And then goes on with offering you prompts and questions. So it might say, here's a follow-up suggestion that you might want to do from the back of this interaction. And it will give you a check that you can click on that and find out. So in this example, it says, how do I check for shipping delays? That's the prompt. If you click on it, it will give you the sort of response and help you with responding and giving that individual that you're interacting with the best possible experience and the most sort of cohesive and sort of holistic approach. So it's able to understand what's going on, what the conversations are happening, what email context there are, and put that within a broader thing and generate those insights for you to support you and to save you time of having to do all that legwork yourself. So it's really it's all about Copilot. It really is, and all about sort of using that natural language model across all of these wave updates, really, to support you in speeding up your work and giving you the tools to give customers, clients, supporters the best possible experience and the most efficient journey in their interaction with you. And then sort of a final one, this is around queues. So if you have an inquiries inbox that channels into queues in Dynamics to manage all the incoming inquiries or questions or complaints that are coming through, if you're using those at the moment, there is a 15-minute delay if you are changing who is able to access those queues. and that has been switched, and now it's a real-time change. So if you are particularly busy, maybe something has drastically gone wrong and you're getting lots of people getting in touch complaining, or whatever it may be, a mailing's gone to the wrong people, these things happen, and you may need to go, we need more people working on this and responding to this. You can quickly add people to manage the queue, so members of the queue, so people staff can quickly get on and start helping. There's no delay in that. Same with removing people from queues. They don't keep getting stuff routed to them after they've actually been removed from the queue. It's an immediate sort of switch off, switch on, so that people can quickly respond or stop responding to information in queues and inquiries that they don't need to be, or they do need to be doing. So it's all about streamlining that process and helping to respond as quickly as possible to customers. That was a really lightning stop tour. As I said, most of the customer service improvements are happening are within the contact centre and field service. So at this point in time, it is a sort of slightly trimmed back customer service wave update. But are there any questions on customer service at all?
Check the chat. There aren't any further questions, but you know, what I'd say is if there are any follow-up questions or you want to understand more about this functionality, you can you know, how it can support your objectives. You know, you can get in touch with your account manager or contact us at sayhello@mhans.com. But yeah, none in the chat, Rachel, as it stands.
That's great. Okay, so that takes me to the end of my blurb. We're just going to take you through what's coming up for mHans and our support of you.
Fine. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, as the slide shows, please keep an eye on our. Oh, it seems to have disappeared. Any way to get that back, Rachel? Yeah, great, perfect. So we've got a whole host of events, as most of you will be familiar. So keep an eye on our events page for any of these future events. We've actually got one coming up this week on the 12th around Power Platform, and then some larger conferences as well that we're attending. So we've got Net Hope that James, our CTO in Washington, they'll be attending. Some UK ones, I'll be attending the Hospice UK National Conference in Glasgow. Air Ambulance UK National Conference as well. We'll have some of our colleagues there. But as you can see, there's a whole load of online events and in-person events as well. So do continue to check our website for those. A couple of other things to add. Do look out in your inboxes over the next few days, because we will be sending you a link to today's recording that you can share with your colleagues, and also the slides as well. Once the webinar has closed, there will be a short survey that should pop up, and would really sort of appreciate if you could take a few moments to complete it, and that will provide us with valuable feedback that will help us to sort of continue to improve these sessions. Right, so I think apart from that, really that's it from us. Like I said, any follow-up questions, do get in touch. But yeah, finally, thank you for joining and have a great day.